Welcome back to the Global Business Report on Arise News. It's a big upcoming weekend for the global box office with today's release of Walt Disney and Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The highly anticipated sequel arrives 6 years after the first Doctor Strange film was released in 2016. That film grossed $677 million worldwide on a production budget of $165 million. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness reportedly cost about $200 million to produce. Joining us to discuss further is Moses Babatope, Managing Director of FilmOne Entertainment. Moses, good to see you again. Good morning, good morning.
Great to see you, Rotis.
Fantastic. What are your expectations? Can this movie make $1 billion worldwide?
I think this is the first film post Spider-Man No Way Home to have the makings and the trappings of $1 billion. A number of things might be in the way, but I think the momentum is really good for it, starting with the opening weekend, which everyone is looking to do over $200 million.
Wow.
But if you consider that China is still not fully opened and has not really played a lot of Hollywood films in the last few months and has coronavirus issues, and then the war in Russia and Ukraine and places like Korea, that block of Korea, Japan, and also kind of just opening up gradually, that's where it might struggle a bit, but it has the makings and trappings of the first $1 billion gross of 2022.
Okay, now I want to play a clip of when you were with us last time, back in March. You were previewing the Batman, right? And I want to play something that you said during that interview. Let's take a listen to that.
For us, our blockbuster is anything over 150 million. So Batman should safely deliver that number. A few things going against it in terms of the duration and kind of is a little dark, but it's the major contender. It should be the biggest film in March. It should be the biggest film of the quarter. So it should do very good numbers for us.
All right, so you mentioned Batman being dark. According to what we've heard, Doctor Strange is almost, for the second half of the movie, a full-blown horror film. So do you think that could work against the PG-13 rating could work against the box office?
I think what we're beginning to see is there's been such a test for the superhero genre in a while. Yes, we had some of it last year, but if you just think that 2020 was devoid of it, the streaming platforms have not really quite given us the superhero genre. I think that is more in the consciousness of the audience than the genre itself. So the fact that Doctor Strange belongs to this Marvel cinematic universe, I think that's the first curiosity factor that gets people in. We've seen, with what Batman has done and decent numbers at that, and Venom to a just slightly lesser extent, we're seeing that audiences, I don't know whether this is a deliberate move by Marvel to kind of broaden the taste of audiences, but in Nigeria, they're taking to it, and the first preview numbers that we're seeing this morning, very, very encouraging.
All right, so how do you think it'll do in Nigeria? How do you think Doctor Strange will perform?
So I think Doctor Strange is looking like a certain 200 million. 200 million, which would be, if we then define the genre as almost fantasy, horror, action, mystery type, that will be a big number for that kind of genre. Of course, the premium formats like IMAX, ScreenX, MX4D, all of those ones that you pay top naira for would have an impact, but I think that 200 million should be the minimum for this film, and it could do more.
Could do more.
Yes.
All right. Now, since we're on speaking of comic book movies, how did the Batman perform in Nigeria?
So the Batman, we're happy with the number. It's about 162 million. We were hoping for 200 million. It was the main film and only film in March. You can almost argue the only film in the first quarter. But a film like Uncharted actually surprised us and has continued to run in cinemas. So Batman is at 162 million. With now having played over 9 weeks, it's already out in streaming. You don't see much life in terms of its theatrical value. But considering 3-hour length film, quite dark, solid reviews, I think it's a win again, and showing us that for the right kind of content and when it's well positioned, people will come out, regardless of maybe some of the unpopular features it might have, like the length.
Gotcha. Okay, still on the same genre. So Batman did 162. What about Morbius? How did Morbius? In fact, which is still playing right now.
Again, I know there's been a lot of conversation, globally around cinema tending towards just the blockbuster stuff and people turning out for that. But look, that's the differentiated experience for cinema. You want the big pictures, the big blockbuster. Morbius has been one of them, done very, very well. 123 million at the Nigerian box office and counting. It's possible that it might do 130, but depends on how well Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange's opening is Doctor Strange is definitely going to be the #1 film people want to see. But we feel that there are remnants there. It opened April 1. There are remnants there for it to get up to 130. A film like that, before the pandemic, would be a sub-100 million film. So to do that kind of number in a crowded April period, where we've now gone through Batman, you've had films like King of Thieves and films like Morbius itself and Sonic Hedgehog all released, and Morbius doing over 100 million. Great result.
Okay, and thanks for mentioning Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a video game franchise based on a character from the 1990s. So I think it's done 95 million so far. Well, what's the is it children or is it people who are our age reminiscing back on the character? What would you I guess what are the triggers behind how well Sonic 2 has done?
So that's what's making us bullish and excited about the theatrical sector. But in Nigeria, we've had to revise prices as everyone has had to. Of course, had to deal with the pandemic, and we found out that families are now returning. And we found out that, look, there's a strong gaming community in the country. And like I said, I've always mentioned to people, we also have the Western influences. Social media kind of really connects us on what people are experiencing. And when people have a sense of kind of what you're experiencing abroad, we can experience here in Nigeria undiluted. I think those things are having a positive effect on our cinema going culture. And Sonic Hedge is a typical example. It's actually past 100 million now.
Oh, wow.
I would say one of the great successes post or in the pandemic era. If you consider that the first one came out just as we're going into the pandemic. This has, I think, outgrossed the first one by more than 2x. So it's a fantastic result. Continues to hold very strong week on week. Has its defined audience in terms of the gaming people and people that know about the origins of the characters and the family audiences. My young sons, 11 and 7, totally enjoyed it and had the ball with their friends. And I've had older people also had a great time looking at it. So very happy. I think this is like a certain 120, 130 million finish.
Excellent. All right, so Nollywood now. I know you mentioned King of Thieves. You take a look at the top 5 box office for Nigeria as at the 5th. It's #1, 200 million. What's been behind the success of this film?
Arguably the revelation of 2022 and the revelation of how dynamic our market is. So we've spent the last few minutes talking about the great performance of Hollywood titles. And what we always continue to tell people about the Nigerian market is our local, content in terms of the production values and the quality, but it also in terms of consumption. King of Thieves is a massive success for the Nigerian box office. Actually at 231 million of this money. Okay. And at the end of the weekend, looking at 250 million.
Wow.
A feature. It's a great collaboration by Euphoria 360 and Antil Studios. Look, for a film that is 95% Yoruba, in language spoken, to do this kind of number. I do want to hope that we can replicate it, but it's one of those ones that is just special. It will go down as a classic, has the trappings of something that would also be an award winner, celebrates our culture in a phenomenal way. It's in its 5th week. It's released in April 8th. It still did record-breaking numbers just a few days ago with the Ramadan break. So this has been a great one. For our cinema market, and I think it's sending the right kind of momentum to all the other aspiring filmmakers that our audiences will respond to both indigenous, contemporary, mainstream English language But if we do it well and market it well, they will come out for it. And that's been the success of King of Thieves.
Fantastic. Do you think we'll have more, as far as you mentioned 95% of it is in Yoruba language? Do you think it will inspire more of those theatrical releases with that local content for language and so on?
Certainly, it would get people looking in that direction. And I'm happy that I've been privy to a few productions that have been done. A lot of them not sure. The epic genre, as before we'll say, has not really worked. This has now opened the floodgates that is possible. There's always a danger of not understanding what made it come together. There are the number of factors, and I believe we'll be sharing that subsequently, that made this work. What is great to know is, beyond like the wedding parties and the big other releases that we've had, that indigenous language product can work in cinemas in Nigeria. And hopefully, I think that this is the pathway to breaking that global, that global gateway for people to see our work.
Fantastic. Okay, so I guess we put all this together. Looking ahead for the rest of, an outlook for 2022, how bullish are you on what's to come on revenues, ticket revenues?
Quarter on quarter, quarter one, we're much stronger in 2022 than 2021. First third of the year on first third of 2021, much stronger. First third of this year and 2019, I think we're almost at par. So it's looking like a great recovery already. And we look at all the indicators. Of course, you can easily be carried away by the absolute, Naira number. But we're also looking at the attendance, like are people still coming? And this has been arguably one of the most challenging times. If you combine the economic issues, the diesel issues, and all the weather, it's been raining consistently for a while. It's showing a real bullishness, and we're really we're grateful for the first 4 months. I think that I don't want to preempt it, but touch wood, I think that this could be a record-breaking year, the biggest ever,
Really?
in terms of cinema numbers. We did 5 billion last year. We're already easily, I think, about 1.6 billion in the first third of the year. And usually it's the last quarter of the year, led by December, that gives you the highest number. So if you just do some extrapolation, you're already over 6 billion. Our record number is 6.4 billion, in 2019. So I dare say 7 billion is up there, for the taking, if not 8. So we're really happy. We hope we can keep the momentum going. And we hope to have more Doctor Strange openings, Batman, King of Thieves, and other great films in the year.
Fantastic stuff. Always great to talk theatre with you, the Managing Director of FilmOne Entertainment, Multiverse of Madness. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.